the idea of at a very tender age, early in life, that the day was coming when this sort of life would be gone. And there must be a recording of it. There must be a history of this. We must have that before it has vanished.
His name is Lennis Leonard Broadfoot, and he was born in a log cabin near Eminence, Missouri. Although he spent many years roaming the United States, he finally decided to make Salem, Missouri his home. Mr. Broadfoot is extremely proud of his collection of drawings and paintings housed in his meager combination house studio. Upon entering his Wildwood Art Gallery in Salem, one realizes the dedication to the task of documenting a period of life and history in the Missouri Ozarks. The walls of his museum are adorned with original artwork, some which might be considered primitive, but all that capture the feeling of the story he is trying to tell. And although the dollar value of his collection is debatable, all are in agreement that the collection is priceless, in that it could never be duplicated. On a cold but bright February morning, I spoke with Mr. Broadfoot in his home.
At the age of 4 now, I was attempting to draw either with chalk on the hearthstone, soap on the window pane, or somehow to mess up the walls with what I called art, and I usually got a spanking for messing up mother's walls and window panes and that. But they didn't spank it out. I realized even at that age that this should be recorded, it should be preserved, it should be kept and made into a history that will go on.
Julius Holsey, the Ozark Fox Hunter, Dent County, Missouri. Mr. Dow Clayton, Texas County, Licking, Missouri. Oxen Bob and Ball.
And it was at this point that, back in the early 30s, Dad made a oil painting of this Round Springs, Missouri. Doesn't look like it, but it flows several million gallons of water a day. The water rises from the Round Springs and flows through this natural bridge to this outlet, and then on down the stream into Current River.
Nancy Carolyn Mosier, Crocker, Pulaski County, Missouri. Mrs. Mosier says, I've always lived in the hills of Pulaski County and don't know nothing about other places, and I never traveled none because I always had my nose held right down to the grinding stone to make a living for the family. I don't care about reading these old newspapers because you can't tell whether it's truth or not, and after you've read it all through, you know a whole lot less than you did when you started. Give me my Bible, my coal oil lamp, and pipe, and you can have your electric lights, cigarettes, and newspapers.
Henry Gove, Osage County, Missouri. John Counts, Reynolds County, Missouri. Jeff Frizzle. Donald McQuirk, in the hills of Dent County, Missouri. Mr. Broadfoot made portraits of several famous people. This is Will Rogers. Jess Thompson, the man who kills squirrels with rocks. John Musgrave. Mr. Musgrave, who was very feeble at the time this picture was drawn, says, I am a soldier of the Civil War. I fought in the Northern Army. I am 97 years old and don't feel like talking, and I can't remember much anymore because my mind is bad. There's one thing I can remember, And that is what an awful time we had to make a living when we come back home. Jim Talley, age 82, Bangor, Missouri. Eugene Curtis, Jadwin, Missouri. Pete Counts, the Hill Comedian, Reynolds County, Missouri.
Josie LeBrash, Dent County, Missouri. Mrs. Vina Box, wife of Henry, Elsinore, Carter County, Missouri.
Uncle Sammy, who is 98 years old, was born in Texas County, Missouri, April 10, 1842. He states, "The story of the Civil War would be a long tale to tell, and it would take a long time to tell it. I hate its horrors and tragedies, and it looks like people could be educated out of such things, but it seems like the smarter people get, the dumber they get, and every so often civilization goes bankrupt, and another wholesale slaughter takes place in the name of war, and after the fight, then it's hard times and depression. A funny old world, but deliver me from all wars."
Mrs. Delilah McKeithlin, Dillard, Missouri.
Bob Derryberry, Acres, Missouri. These gentlemen are the first 6 presidents of Missouri's first state college at Kirksville, Missouri, known in those days as our state normal. John Henry Smith, Gladden, Missouri. John says, "When I break a yoke of oxen and train 'em up to work, they know what it's all about. 'Cause I can take this old whip and just play a tune around their tails, noses, and ears, and they rarely toe the mark and dance to the music. And when I'm all through with 'em, ye can just talk to 'em like talking to a man, and they'll mind ye."
Here's one 111 years old, Catherine Burke. I was 4 years old when I attempted to make that old lady's portrait when she used to come in our home. She chewed tobacco and she smoked and spit in our fireplace. I heard that she was still living, and I rushed to get her portrait before she was gone. I drove down within 2.5 miles of her place and parked the car and had to walk back up a deep, dark hollow. She was smoking a pipe. And that was on the 4th day of July, 1937. Somewhere around the 1st of October or November, the old lady passed away. Our early American heritage. It's a history that sprang up from the Revolutionary War, when we came from under the influence of British taxes and that. The colonial days, she began to spread out, and on come one war after another. And the people were forced, when they came home from the war, to bend their backs to the sun to maintain a living. They had to maintain life on the things that they created themselves. Today we have modern life, but first there was a foundation laid for that, and that is the people that you see in this collection that are portrayed, making railroad ties, spinning, weaving, and raising tobacco, smoking pipes and everything. I worked day and night to rush and get around from one place to another to get these old people before they passed away. But the reality is this: that work and that sort of life is gone.
Melinda Derryberry, wife of Bob Derryberry, Acres, Missouri.
Mr. A. O. Weaver, W.S. Bland, Midridge, Missouri. Chester Pyatt, The Ozark Root Digger, Round Spring, Missouri. Chester says, I guess it's perfectly natural for us fellers that live down in the hills to brag about what the Ozarks are good for, and I guess it's mostly 'cause most of us was born and raised here. George Atchison, Butchering Hogs, Hartshorn, Missouri.
Mary Box, Doniphan, Missouri.
Dr. John Robert Huffer, Corn and Wart Doctor of the Ozarks, Turtle, Missouri.
Margaret Sweeney, the Ozark Midwife, Sinkin, Missouri.
Matt Hogan and family, Dent County, Missouri.
Armenta Taylor, age 91, Gladden, Missouri. Mrs. Taylor states, I have lived on this old farm 65 years and have raised a family of 11 children. I've never traveled anywhere nor been anywhere in my life. I have just stayed at home, worked hard, and took care of the kids. People these days don't know nothing about raising families. Times are too modern, and they'd rather raise poodle dogs than babies.
Bobby Dixon, Chadwick, Missouri. Charlie Coleman, Yancey's Mill, Missouri. Orville Cassidy, the champion fiddler of the Ozarks. Evening Shade School. This little pioneer house of education, so gorgeously wrapped in nature's beauty of evergreen trees and wild mountain roses, has served as an all-purpose building for community gatherings such as church, box suppers, Christmas trees, community sings, etc. And now, since it is no longer used for school purposes, it is said it is used for funeral services, after which the deceased is laid to rest there in the large public cemetery, seen in the immediate background, which is about 300 yards from the schoolhouse. Ed Louthridge, Crawford County, Missouri. Dolph Givens. Preacher John F. Lewis, Rector, Missouri. I am just an old-fashioned hill preacher, the kind that roams all through the Ozarks of southern Missouri and preach the gospel truth to the people in the little schoolhouse that stands upon the hill. When ye want to go to church where folks have a good time, just come down among the old brothers and sisters of the Ozarks and watch that old pot of religion boil over when I deliver my sermon. Then close by singing that good old hymn, I'm going home to die no more.
Mary Racer, Montauk, Missouri.
Bill Racer.
Miss Nancy Ann Racer, Montauk, Missouri.
Luther Box, son of Henry and Vina Box, hewing railroad ties. Henry Box, the Ozark boardmaker, Elsinore, Butler County, Missouri.
Susie Pace, Crawford County, Missouri. Mrs. Pace says, people laugh at me 'cause I live and dress in the old-fashioned way, but I don't care. I guess I am old-fashioned. I don't go to moving picture shows, and I won't ride in an automobile either. I'd rather walk, 'cause I am afeard of cars. I wear my dresses big and loose and long enough to come down to my ankles, and that looks funny to the young folks. And when they want to dress clownish for some kind of funny party, they come and borrow my clothes. They can laugh at my long dresses if they want to, and I don't care nary a bit, 'cause I'm not modern nor stuck up. I sometimes have a good laugh at their modern short dresses too, and especially when they go to bend over or sit down.
As the morning sun rose higher, the room grew warmer and brighter, and Mr. Broadfoot deemed it necessary to talk about the research and field work necessary to capture the feel of the Ozarks.
I traveled the wild woods, Hogback Mountains. I saw the smoke coming up from chimneys down in the deep, dark canyons. And there's a parked the car way out, see, and walked down in the canyon to drag open an old yard gate to go in the house to find Grandpa and Grandma smoking pipes with the hound dog laying with his paws on the hearthstone. There was my subject.
Mm-hmm.
Here's where I'm going to get my true history of early day life. Here's where I'm preserving the thing that we must have. The people who worked and laid the foundation for the modern life that we live today. We come together in a single way, in a simple life. We talk things about you got a nice place here. You have a fine place to fish. You have good hunting grounds and all those things. Get the wire edge off, and I didn't have to ask questions, just sit there and listen and write what they said. Their story was their story, not mine. And I wrote the story as they gave it. I drew every wrinkle in the face that I could find, every one that I could see. The wrinkles in our faces express something. Every one we have expresses something. It's not there for no good. It's not. It expresses something. And you will, if you study people as I have, you learn that too. I know just as well when people sit down and they start lying to me, or when they're honest and truthful, they mean to do something. But first get these people down from the wired edge into common life and common discussion, and we'll talk of the old days.
Rose Miller, Phelps County, Missouri.
Ed Lehman, Carter County, Missouri. Richard Schiffler, Salem, Missouri. Ed Hoagland, Texas County, Missouri. Oliver Olcott Woodland, Ozark stonemason and monument maker, Salem, Missouri. Thomas Pearl Cawthorn, the here and there man of the Missouri Ozarks. Tom says, I hear the wolves howl and the old mountain bobcat as he gives a wicked, vicious roar high up on the brushy mountainside. I hear the owls hoot and the whippoorwill and nightingale sing. I see and hear all these things that I love and enjoy. And yet people wonder if the meager sum I get for chopping wood is all old Tom gets out of life.
This is the old grist mill in Alice Springs State Park. This gate is lowered, shuts off the flow of water through this channel, causes the old Pelton wheel to turn and furnishes the power to the old grist mill.
Ellen Box, daughter-in-law of Henry and Bina.
Tommy LaRue and his woolly shepherd pup, Campbell, Missouri.
Mrs. Sarah Tyree. I am 80 years old. I was born August 21st, 1860. I have lived in the Ozark Hills all my life. These old backwoods is a good place to live. I don't know nothing about the outside world, and I don't care about it. Mrs. Ethel Fox, wife of Luther.
The Lanham family, Bunker, Missouri. John Hagler, Justice of the Peace of Spring Creek Township, Dent County, Missouri.
Aunt Matt Mays, 100 years old, Chadwin, Missouri.
Joe Wood, born August 26, 1864, Eminence, Missouri. Joe says, I make our living in this old shop by making chairs. I'm well known throughout the Ozarks as the chair maker. I get $1.25 each for them, and believe me, they are good and will last. The chair posts and all the rounds are all made on this old turning lathe that you see here. I can make 2 chairs a day. They're made of white oak timber. My wife helps me and can make a chair about as quick as I can. Overton Williams, Lenox, Missouri. Uncle Henry Jones, 83 years old, Texas County, Missouri. Henry Westing, the saddle maker of Salem, Missouri. Charlie Norris, the Ozark stave manufacturer. Eli Hayes, Gano, Missouri. Eli says, I'd rather live a bachelor's life down in the hills, drink muddy water out of a gourd, sleep in a holler log, fry my own fritters, and eat cracklings than to take chances on living in war like some of 'em, and having a sack of beans threshed out over my head or the cook stove throwed at me, just 'cause I might happen to say the biscuits was a little too hard or the cornbread had a little too much soda in it. O.H. Bryant, Ozark pen artist, Licking, Missouri. H.C. Hammerand, Montauk, Missouri. Robert Good, editor and owner of the Salem Post, Salem, Missouri.
The kind of people that I portrayed maintain life themselves. It is up to them to make whatever they eat and wore. And they didn't depend on people to come in and tell them what to do. They're all self-sustaining. They had confidence in themselves. 80% were uneducated in terms of schooling. Mm-hmm. But you would be surprised how smart those people, some of them, were. As one old man said, he's sitting on a sack of shorts. He could neither read nor write, but you know what that old fellow said to me while I was portrayed? Mr. Broadfoot, he said, all we can hear in this day and time is taxes, 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 taxes. He said, you're going to see the day, Mr. Broadfoot, but I won't live to see it probably, but you are. You won't live to see the day when a man will have to have a revenue stamp on his butt to have a right to sit down. Those were the sort of people that enlightened me a great deal about writing the book. I was getting in there the truth of what people wanted to hear, how they really. There's nothing vulgar in my book. There's nothing obscene. It's all pure and clean. Early day life. It's gone. I wish these old people could have lived forever.